This video will focus on the role in which business plays in society, as well as reflecting on MDP in semester 1 on each subject we focused on throughout MDP. When thinking about a business and a role in society, we must first focus on the role it plays when meeting the world's increasing needs and desires for goods and services. Businesses play a major role as it shapes our world, mainly through. When thinking about a business and a role in society, we must first focus on the role it plays when meeting the world's increasing needs and desires for goods and services. Businesses play a major role as it shapes our world, mainly through providing financial prosperity. It is easily forgotten just how wide these financial benefits are. Finance is given to business nowadays is often ignored. We forget, as well as most adults, that our place at work is where we spend most of our time. Of course, not as students, this is when we finish our degree. Business provides a sense of security for its workers to communicate and meet new people. Therefore, it becomes a safe and familiar place. One of a basic human need is to stay busy, and business is a great outlet to this. The next few slides are the tasks we found extremely helpful and insightful. Globalisation. We learnt about globalisation and the definition of it, and of course its importance in the business world. It is the growth of the economy, societies and organisation into international markets. There are many views and opinions about the creation of globalisation. Some people think it benefits the society and economy. Others take the complete opposite view. This is because although globalisation boosts the economy, opponents argue that there are less opportunities and it is much harder for smaller businesses to grow and survive. Therefore, developing and deepening the dominance of greater industries and brands, as there is little room for innovation and starting up new enterprises. However, again, it can be said that globalisation can raise awareness. For example, the tsunami in the Indian Ocean in 2004. The UK was made aware of this natural disaster and sent aid over to help. Although there are drawbacks of globalisation, our culture is constantly shifting, and today it connects with many people from across the world by the great improvement and development in trading, communication and technology. Financial crisis. The role of businesses in society. Sometimes businesses in our society face crisis, a time of great difficulty, where businesses must be very cautious with their decision making. This can even ruin them, or in some cases make them stronger. A strong business would have good management of the crisis and therefore being able to deal with it in a very good and professional manner. One of the most recent crises was the financial crisis in 2008, which resulted in the collapse of a big American bank. This crisis was one of the biggest to happen, affecting the entire Western world. Briefly, the 2008 crisis was caused by the Banks of America producing too much money to push up the house price. Then the banks would give out loans and mortgages to people that they knew wouldn't be able to pay it back. So inevitably, people weren't paying their loans back and then leaving the banks with nothing, and therefore the crisis occurred. Crises and recessions can have a serious impact. They damage the business's profile and then for their products to be reduced. If profiles were damaged, businesses will be forced to reduce employment rates or even make people redundant, leaving people with no source of outcome. And this would have a knock-on effect on other businesses, as people with lower income or made redundant will be unable to spend their money at other businesses. So being in the recession isn't good for anyone. When making a new business or starting up anything, you need to take everything in very serious consideration if you want the business to be successful today. Ethical behaviour. From our essay regarding ethical behaviour in business, we were able to learn many things. Firstly, this day and age, good ethical behaviour is unbelievably important, more so than ever. Recent findings highlighted that companies with better ethical history tend to perform better and have better track records, which in turn leads to better sales and credibility. In addition to this, we were able to gather that many companies are putting emphasis on having good ethics due to one major factor, and this being social media. Findings highlighted that customers or employees who have good experience will tell around 1 or 2 people, where they had bad experience tend to create a more vocal output with telling around 5 to 6. This number, however, spreads to a lot more when social media is involved. The power of social media ultimately means that people are able to voice their opinions to thousands, if not millions, which in turn can make companies either fail or succeed, and they can seem to be ethical towards customers or employees or not. Negotiating. In semester 1, we had a task to negotiate, and this task we found very difficult. The main reason of this was the fact we had 4 team members and the other team we were facing had 8 members. But we realised, just like in business, a small team can just be as powerful as a large one. Our idea in this task was to notice the opposing team's weaknesses and capitalise on this. We managed to overcome this obstacle and have a good argument. Idealism and reality are 2 prevalent perspectives in today's society, which we learned about in the first semester. Both viewpoints are typically considered in respect to setting targets, achieving them, and the overall boundaries of succeeding them. An idealist will set their targets and goals extremely high. They envision that they will be able to make them ideal outcome of success, although it may well be very unlikely. This sometimes translates to disappointment and failure. The saying, shoot for the stars so if you fall, land on the clouds, can illustrate this. The basis of this is to demonstrate that if you aim extremely high and work hard to achieve your goal, then you may still fail. But you will still achieve a lot along the way, and you will arrive at a much higher level of success. However, a realist will set their targets and goals at a much more realistic level, a level in which they believe they can succeed. In comparison to idealists, realists can be seen to take far less risks, but they appear to show more focus towards their goals and are much more concentrated on various possibility outcomes, which may stand in their way. Although realists may not be aiming for the stars, they can still acquire that feeling of overall success, so they might take more pride in how they got to that exact way they planned for. On the flip side, should they fail, they may not deal with the disappointment as well as an idealist for the fact they won't be as successful. New people, new team. I feel one of our difficulties last year was the team being so new. None of us knew each other, and therefore none of us knew each other's weaknesses and strengths. And this could not be identified for at least 2 to 3 weeks. However, once we got to know each other more, we would know what each other would be better at doing. For example, some of us are better at writing, and some of us are better at speaking and producing slides. We found it much easier as the weeks went on to produce a strategic plan into making sure our team performed at a very high standard. Working out when each other was free was a massive issue. We just got our timetables, so we didn't know the times and the dates we would be free to do the MDP work. However, as the weeks went on, this became much more clear, so we could work out the times and dates we will do the work. Presenting was another key issue. Some people within our team are too nervous to stand up and present. Therefore, they do more of the assignment work and essays. Although, towards the end of last year, when people became more comfortable, everyone went up to present at least once.